Have you ever noticed that there are women who, even when they are no longer in their 20s, still make others turn their heads? They are not loud. They do not try to impress. Yet their presence alone is enough to make men want to step closer. Not because they are the youngest or the most beautiful, but because they carry something difficult to name, a kind of magnetism that comes from within. The great psychologist of the 20th century, Carl Jung, called this state the presence of a reconciled self, a quiet mechanism that nevertheless has a profound influence on how we are perceived. The truth is, people are not drawn first by appearance, but by the feeling they receive from someone's energy, not because she is beautiful or stands out by social standards, but because her behaviors and attitudes have been refined over time. The deepest form of attraction does not lie in cosmetics or clothing, but in the natural confidence of a woman who knows who she is. What you think of as surface-level charm is, in fact, the calm of an inner world that has made peace with itself. For its roots do not lie in the present moment, but in past experiences, silent wounds, and emotional patterns that were formed long ago. In this piece, I will share with you 6 subtle yet clear habits that reveal what makes a mature woman irresistibly attractive. And pay special attention to the final habit, because it is the one most people tend to overlook, yet it is the most powerful form of natural magnetism. Habit 1. Confidence that is felt before it is seen. Have you ever met a woman who walked into a meeting room, simply pulled out a chair, and sat down, yet the atmosphere seemed to shift? Not because she was striking or loud, but because of the way she walked slowly, her shoulders relaxed, her gaze steady, as if she knew exactly how she was showing up. Those small actions made you notice her, even before she spoke her first word. In such a woman, confidence does not lie in appearance, but in the way she arrives unhurried, unflustered, not trying to hide herself. It comes from the sense that she has nothing to prove and does not need to adjust herself to meet anyone's expectations in the room. That clarity makes others want to listen to her, even before they know anything about her. When a woman lives in alignment with her own energy, you sense it instinctively, the way the body recognizes a steady rhythm before the mind can name it. In Carl Jung's language, this is the state of a self reconciled with itself, no longer needing to defend against the gaze of others. When the silent battles inside quiet down, presence becomes lighter. People are not drawn to her first words or first smile, but to the confidence radiating from her energy. An anxious woman makes the space around her tighten. In contrast, a grounded woman makes others feel at ease within seconds of her arrival. Confidence is like a soft golden lamp in a dark room, not dazzling, not showy, but warm enough for anyone nearby to feel safe. A woman with this kind of confidence does not need to force anything or display dominance. What pulls others in is the peace she carries in her breath and her movements, and this did not come from birth. It comes from an inner world calm enough that she no longer has to brace herself each time she enters a new space. There are 2 very common archetypes you've likely encountered or even experienced yourself. 1 avoids eye contact, walks quickly, and hands are restless in search of an anchor. The other is not necessarily more beautiful or more dressed up, but she looks straight at you when she speaks. She is unbothered by silence, unafraid of taking up space. When observed closely, you realize she is not prettier, nor more glamorous, but she is fully present in each gesture, and that clarity makes others feel she is someone worth listening to. Confidence not only helps a woman be noticed, it shapes the important decisions of her life. People do not sign contracts with someone who is trying hard to appear strong. They sign when they feel true steadiness. Partners do not need many affirming words. They watch how you place your pen, how you answer a difficult question, how you hold your breath during moments of silence. True confidence is almost impossible to perform. It reveals itself in the smallest movements that others pick up instantly. And those subtle signals convince them they are standing before someone worth collaborating with. Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." Confidence does not come from what has happened to you, but from the choices you make in each moment. You may be carrying memories that make your shoulders shrink, your head drop, or your apologies come too easily. If you let those memories decide how you walk into a room, They will continue shaping your life in silence. Mature confidence begins the moment you no longer allow the past to determine your posture. Many women only truly understand the power of confidence when they look back on their own journey. One woman said confidence carried her into a coaching role at 19, then into training supervisors, managing teams, traveling across America, and opening a restaurant in England. She shared that her success was not luck, but the result of knowing her worth and daring to enter spaces others hesitated to approach. That is the strength of an inner world that knows its direction. That same confidence helped her overcome hardships, secure a job at a major company just days after graduating, and work tirelessly until she met her life partner, someone who encouraged her to slow down and care for her health. Her accomplishments did not come from her looks, but from the steady spirit of someone who knows where she excels. There is an important truth. Men are not drawn to lipstick, clothing, or features at first glance. They are drawn to demeanor, tone, and confident presence, things that reveal themselves naturally even 10 seconds before you enter the room. A woman with a purposeful schedule, steady posture, and intentional words makes others feel her clarity. Cultivate your energy before your lipstick. Everything else will follow. The first habit of an attractive woman is knowing how to return to her body as it is. Try stepping outside your home, taking a deep breath, loosening your shoulders slightly, and walking with a grounded pace as if you have the right to stand in any space you enter. Posture will not change who you are overnight, but it sends a message to your mind that you do not need permission to exist. Such a small shift is enough to open the door to a more mature energy. Then you will begin to notice the unconscious moments when you shrink yourself, when someone looks at you a little too long, when you enter a group of strangers. When you are unsure if you are doing something correctly, the body always reacts before the mind. It shrinks to avoid judgment, to avoid being seen. Awareness of this is not for blaming yourself, but for understanding that these old reflexes can be returned to where they belong. Mature confidence does not lie in insisting that you are fine. It lies in the way you step into the world without apologizing for your existence. When you truly stand upright, you are not rigid, you are simply clearer. Others see, in the way you carry yourself, that you know who you are and do not need to claim anyone else's space. That clarity creates the most enduring form of attraction. Have you noticed when you feel most confident? Or have you ever shrunk yourself simply because you feared attention? If those questions make your heart soften a little, do not worry. It is not because you are weak, but because you have spent years hiding the strongest part of yourself. And what we are about to explore next is not a way to change who you are, but a way to ensure you never again need permission to be yourself. Habit 2. Non-attachment. The energy that makes others move closer. There are moments in our emotional life that resemble a leaf falling onto the surface of a lake. It lands, creates a small ripple, and then the water returns to stillness. A woman who practices non-attachment carries precisely that stillness. She does not try to hold on to anyone, nor does she chase anyone. Her energy is like water that knows how to return to its own equilibrium, not stirred by any absence. What makes her magnetic is not coldness, but the sense that she is calm and self-possessed enough not to be swept away by anyone. In Carl Jung's psychology, attachment is part of the shadow. It appears when the fear of abandonment has not yet been seen. When a woman shines a light on the darkness within herself and recognizes that wound, she no longer wanders, looking for something to cling to. When the shadow becomes illuminated, she becomes freer, and that freedom is what makes others curious, wanting to approach, wanting to connect, without her needing to try. Imagine a woman who finally releases the need to hold on to her partner. When she does so, her body relaxes, her steps become lighter, and her breathing deepens. Everything about her looks more natural, no longer tense or forced. What is interesting is that people notice this very quickly, even if they cannot explain it in words. On an unconscious level, we are drawn to those who do not impose emotional pressure on us because they make us feel comfortable when we come near. Have you ever felt this? When you have less time to text him, he texts you more. When you stop orbiting around someone's movements, they begin to orbit around yours. When you focus on your own life, everything in the relationship becomes clearer because you no longer build your identity based on someone else's reactions. Non-attachment is not a strategy. It is the natural result of returning to yourself. Carl Jung believed, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. We do not cling to people, in the literal sense. We cling to the feeling of safety we think they can provide. When the fear of being left is buried in the dark, it controls our choices. An unanswered text becomes a sign of loss. A brief silence becomes panic. But when we face the darkness directly, that sense of dependence dissolves, and our energy shifts into something else clearer, steadier. Many women tell me they only understood this when looking back on their own stories. One woman said she always knew she was confident and did not need to rely on anyone, did not need approval to exist. She saw many women around her cling to others to feel lifted or to advance in life, but she was different. She did not need to cling to anyone to become influential. She created value through her own capability and inner strength, and that was exactly what made some people dislike her, because standing next to a free woman exposes the parts of themselves they have not yet met. Another woman shared that her marriage pulled her into the orbit of the man she married. She could no longer do what she loved, and lost the independent version of herself she once cherished. When he was no longer in her life, she began to put back on the identity she had stored away for too long. She returned to her unfinished dreams and poured herself into finding who she was again. What she did not expect was that when she finally stood firmly as herself, men began appearing everywhere, so many that she felt overwhelmed. She wondered why this was happening, and the answer lay in the energy she was now living. She no longer sought completion from others. She had become her own full version. That presence was stronger than any introduction, and others sensed it instantly. Another woman said she was beautiful, intelligent, humorous, financially stable, and she loved her life. She wanted a partner, but not at the cost of losing herself just to have a man. She constantly sought to improve and cultivate the traits she lacked. Her fullness and self-possession made her attractive. She did not cling to a relationship to fill a void. She chose love from a position of wholeness. Inner freedom always leaves an external trace. A woman who does not cling enters a relationship as someone who already has a full life. She does not treat love as her only pillar. She does not treat someone's presence as proof of her value. She has her own world, her own purpose, her own identity, and that is exactly what makes others want to come closer. Because freedom by nature carries its own gravitational pull. This freedom is not indifference. It is maturity. It is the understanding that people come and go according to the timing life requires. The only thing you can truly keep is yourself. Non-attachment prevents you from panicking in love, from fearing heartbreak, and from losing yourself in exchange for someone's presence. The moment you realize you once tried to hold on to someone not because you loved them, but because you feared the emptiness their absence would uncover, you begin to step into the most mature stage of your inner world. Because the truth is, you were not clinging to them. You were clinging to the illusion that they were the only source of safety in your life. And when you break that illusion, something soft appears, as if an invisible rope that once tightened around you begins to loosen and fall away. Have you ever been in that state, holding on to someone not because you truly needed them, but because you feared the space that might open if they left? What should you do? Do not try to be stronger or pretend you are fine. What you need is to pause for a moment and ask yourself a very simple question. What am I truly afraid of losing when someone steps out of my life? When you answer that question, the image of yourself becomes clearer. You will see the parts of your shadow you have not yet named, and you will realize that fullness has never come from keeping someone, it comes from standing firmly in your own life. Have you ever tried to hold on to someone not out of love, but out of fear of the emptiness that would follow? You will see that what you cling to is not the person, but the voice in your shadow, whispering that you cannot stand alone, but you can. And once you stand, you will no longer need to grasp at anyone, because you will recognize that you are in the place you belong. I hope many women come to understand this. Remember that you are the only one who carries everything you need. Show the world your strength, and everything else will find you at the right time. Habit 3. Style as a psychological signature, not an outfit. Have you ever looked at someone and instantly thought, this style was made for her? You remember her through a scarf, the shape of a blouse, or the way she gently brushed her hair to one side. Not because the item was expensive, but because everything on her body matched the energy of who she is. A simple shirt becomes a story when placed on her. A small gesture already tells you something about her essence. Style does not lie in the garment itself, but in the feeling that she is completely at ease with herself when wearing it. In the deeper layers of Carl Jung's psychology, style relates to the persona, the mask we bring to the world. A captivating style is when that mask aligns with the true self. When a woman knows who she is, knows what she wants, and knows where her boundaries are, every choice she makes, from colors to posture to tone of voice, becomes natural and unforced. An authentic persona is when you do not have to perform or shrink yourself, but instead allow what is truly within to step outward with ease. I once witnessed a striking example. Two women were waiting for their interview. The first one dressed impeccably. A new blazer, a designer handbag, and heavy makeup. Yet somehow, I could still sense tension in her, as if she were trying to fit into the expectations of the room. The second woman chose a much simpler outfit, not from a luxury brand, but the way she sat, the way she adjusted her hair, and her calm steadiness made everything look right on her. Not perfect, but natural. Not flashy, but harmonious. One woman was trying to be accepted. The other chose to show up in the way she felt most at ease, and that ease created a pull stronger than any designer label. Some people change their style constantly to fit others' opinions, but the more they do that, the more they lose their sharpness. Others dress simply, yet draw a second glance wherever they go. That magnetism does not come from appearance. It comes from self-possession in every small choice. It is the beauty of a woman who knows her own value, without having to display it for validation. Carl Jung said, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another. What suits someone else may not suit us." Yet in real life, how many times have you worn something not because you liked it, but because you feared being judged? How many times have you chosen silence, chosen to fade, chosen safety just to avoid attention? Style is never just clothing. Style is how you step into life, whether you dare to express yourself or you are still hiding parts of who you truly are. The real issue is not what you wear. The issue is whether you are wearing something to express yourself or to hide. Many women have worn outfits that constrained them simply because they believed it was the style others expected them to have. The most magnetic woman is the one who shows up as her true self, not the version she thinks others want to see. A close friend of mine once shared, "A woman who knows her worth, owns her energy, and is unafraid of being seen always has a very particular kind of magnetism. It is not loud, but elegant and intentional, born from inner autonomy." She once believed that attractiveness meant being noticed or praised. But later, she realized real magnetism lives in steadiness, calmness, and full presence. She recalled her mother, the kind of person who made everyone feel safe simply by being there. No performance, no seduction, just quiet strength. That is style, in the Jungian sense, a persona aligned with the true self. You can sense this in how such women walk, how they communicate, how they hold eye contact. Everything tells you they do not need anyone's permission to exist in any space. Style is not just aesthetics. It is the purpose. A woman with real purpose is profoundly magnetic. Some people once focused too much on external validation, but once they realized this truth, they began pouring their energy into their goals and passions. Style is not only an attraction, it is self-completion. When you live in alignment with your life's direction, your style becomes the signature of that journey. Many mature women have spent much of their lives believing they must be perfect to be loved, must be younger, must behave properly, must please everyone. But these truths remind them that the most attractive version of themselves is not the one trying to be liked. It is the one who has lived enough to know her worth, who does not need to be chosen to feel complete. Many people in their 20s and 30s tried to become the stylish girl, always ready, always pleasant, but it only made them exhausted and irritated. Perhaps after reading this, they will realize that real attractiveness comes from being genuine and comfortable in their own skin. One woman said she was not especially attractive physically. She lived very simply, often bought second-hand clothes to save money, collected free food, preferred masculine colors, and even wore children's shoes for convenience. Yet men were always drawn to her, not because she tried to dress well, but because of the way she carried herself, the way she spoke, and the quiet confidence she radiated. When she talked, people listened. When she approached, people noticed. She dressed according to her mood and followed no makeup rules, but she was always clean, neat, fragrant, and unapologetically herself. And that was her style. Style is the feeling you give, the aura you project before you say a word, the freedom that makes others want to be near you. A woman living in her true nature leaves an imprint without needing to display anything. People remember her not because she is impossibly beautiful, but because she is unmistakably real. The moment you understand this, your style begins to change. So are you dressing to express or to conceal? Are you choosing a style to fade into the background or to become clearer? Are you living according to your own taste or the expectations of others? Simply being honest with these questions turns your style into your signature. One very simple way to begin is this. Remove one item from your wardrobe that does not feel right. A dress that makes you stiff. A pair of shoes that makes you walk unnaturally. An accessory that makes you feel like you are trying to be someone else. When you free your body from what does not belong to you, you free your soul as well. Have you ever worn something just to avoid judgment? If you have, you are not wrong. You simply have not yet seen that the most magnetic version of yourself is the one who dares to stand directly in her true essence. Style does not begin in the closet. It begins in the truth you whisper to yourself when you look in the mirror. Habit 4. Feminine energy. Attracting without pursuing. When a woman has grown accustomed to living in alignment with herself, her style becomes her signature. And from that clarity, another kind of energy begins to form. It is no longer about what she wears or how she looks. It is about the feeling she brings into a room when she appears. A quiet stillness, subtle, difficult to name, yet unmistakably felt. Feminine energy is not loud. It does not chase, but its calm presence naturally draws people closer. It does not need to perform to be seen. Its tranquility becomes its own gravitational pull. To Carl Jung, the anima is soft but weighted. It is like water, capable of flowing around any shape, yet powerful enough to push back an entire rock drifting downstream. When a woman tightens, fights, controls, or tries to prove she is fine, she moves farther away from her own anima. Feminine energy is not weakness. It is the capacity to let life unfold without losing one's center. Women who do not pursue, who do not chase, who do not text incessantly or revolve their entire lives around one man often end up being the ones most pursued. They are not indifferent. They are whole within themselves. And that wholeness makes others want to move closer, the way a quiet space always draws the footsteps of someone searching for peace. Carl Jung once said, "The feminine is not passive, it is receptive." Feminine energy is not waiting in helplessness. It is the state of being ready to receive what is meant to arrive and gently letting go of what is meant to leave. It is an inner form of agency, not an external performance. You can see this in the smallest behaviors. Those who keep their own rhythm, who do not treat their phone as the center of their universe, who do not wait for his reply, who do not feel pressured to answer immediately. They are not cold. They are sovereign. There is a very particular ease in them, a pace untouched by anyone else's urgency. And men come closer not because these women are high value, but because the anima opens only when a woman is not using a man to fill her unseen fears. Feminine energy is not only softness, it is also a boundary. A woman may speak with a gentle voice, but with meaning that is sharp. She can say, "This is something I cannot accept," or "That makes me uncomfortable," or "I need time for myself." No yelling, no force, no loss of composure, but unmistakably clear. And it is that clarity that creates attraction. Others sense they cannot push her around or define her on their terms. There is a humorous but very real story I once heard. He said, I saw two women in the room next door talking for 2 straight hours, without pausing for breath. Their excitement was contagious, but I also realized something. Too much chasing energy can make a conversation lose its depth. Feminine energy is knowing how to make space for silence. It is letting a conversation breathe. Another woman shared that she used to be extremely enthusiastic in conversations, but eventually realized men do not process information as quickly as women, not because they are weak, but because they are different. If she spoke too fast, too much, too intensely, that energy became overwhelming. When she learned to relax, breathe, adjust her pace, and listen more deeply, everything became more connected. And that very process of slowing herself transformed her life. In the past, a Saturday morning without a plan was terrifying. Now she knows. Let life unfold. Loosen the grip. When she relaxed, the right things naturally found their way to her. Feminine energy is also what makes men ask silent questions they never voice. What is she thinking? I wonder how she feels about me. How deep does she go? And these unanswered questions create a magnetic pull. The person who does not try to impress often leaves the deepest impression because she does not chase attention. She does not flaunt success for validation. She does not force herself to be interesting. Her stillness is deep enough that others want to enter. Some women have partners, yet do not lose their own lives. They still work, still take care of themselves, still pursue personal goals, still spend time with friends. They do not sacrifice their entire world to orbit around a man. And it is precisely that fullness that makes men want to stay. A woman who lives from abundance does not place a man at the center. She places herself at the center. And love becomes something added on, not something that defines her. Feminine energy is not apathy. It is a form of trust. Trust that what is right will come when she is steady within herself. Trust that she does not have to chase anything to keep it. Trust that she is worthy of love even when she is not proving it every day. Trust that others are free to arrive and free to leave. And the only thing she needs to hold on to is her connection to herself. You do not need to cling to anyone or hold anyone back. What you truly need is to stop running from your own emotions. Once you stop tightening, stop proving your strength, stop forcing outcomes, you become easier to approach. Others want to draw closer because there is calmness and authenticity in you, not because you are perfect. Have you ever had moments when you were magnetic without doing anything at all? Moments when you simply lived at your own pace, and people naturally gravitated toward you? If yes, remember that it was not luck. It was a sign that you can step into true feminine energy. You can cultivate that state again, little by little, through simple practices. Speak 1 beat slower so your body can breathe. Inhale a little deeper so you are not swept up by reactivity. Respond to messages when you genuinely want to, not out of fear of what might happen if you do not. Receive what comes rather than chasing to keep everything under control. As you practice these small things, you will notice your rhythm becoming lighter and the world slowly adjusting to your pace. Not because you are trying to impress, but because you are stepping into the calmest version of yourself. Receive. Do not pursue. Let your presence evoke desire in others. Before we move on to the next part, I want to pause for a moment to thank you for journeying with this process all the way here. Not everyone has the patience to look inward for this long, and the fact that you are still here is something truly worth honoring. If anything in these reflections touched you in any way, you can share what you feel in the comments. Perhaps in this very moment, your story will open a new doorway for the rest of us. Habit 5. The art of conversation. Say less, open more. Some conversations begin not with words, but with a brief look and a very soft smile. Have you ever felt that when someone makes you want to share more about yourself, even though they haven't said much at all? The art of conversation does not lie in the number of sentences spoken. It lies in the ability to create a space that others can step into. In Carl Jung's psychology, words often reveal the persona, while silence belongs to the anima, the soft part, the part that listens, the part that builds connection. When your shadow is full of fears of being forgotten, dismissed, or abandoned, you'll tend to talk a lot to fill the space. But when that shadow is finally seen, your words become more refined. Not because you have less to say, but because you no longer need to prove anything. Imagine it like a candle in a dark room. It doesn't blaze like a ceiling lamp, nor does it shout like stage lights, but it is exactly that small, gentle, steady flame that draws people closer. A woman with presence is not captivating because she speaks well, speaks correctly, or speaks a lot. She is captivating because she knows when to pause, creating the space that makes a conversation breathe. In life, some women speak very little during a first meeting, yet when everyone leaves, she is the one people remember the most. Not because she is distant or mysterious, but because she is present in a very clear, very complete way. She does not take up space. She does not interrupt. She does not try to create an impression. But her subtlety makes every gaze naturally drift toward her. Have you ever met someone like that? Someone who makes you want to share more simply because they truly listen. Someone who does not cut you off when the story reaches a difficult part. Someone who does not grab the conversation when you haven't finished. Someone whose ego does not intrude between your sentences. When a woman speaks less, it is not because she has nothing to say, but because she is choosing to connect. In all chaos there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. This statement by Jung reminds us that beneath chaos, there is always an underlying structure. Conversation is the same. When you speak too much, the volume increases, but the connection decreases. When you speak just enough, pausing at the right moments, and letting silence speak, the conversation becomes more ordered, more meaningful, not because you talked less, but because you placed your energy exactly where it needed to be. The most important part of this habit is not learning to talk less. It is learning to observe. Why am I talking so much right now? What am I trying to prove? What am I afraid of? What feeling am I avoiding? People are not forgotten because they speak little. People are forgotten when they speak too much without direction, when their words land nowhere, connect to no one, and fail to create the feeling of, I am being heard. Some women tell me they used to talk a lot on first dates not because they enjoyed it, but because they feared being seen as boring, afraid the other person would think they lacked charm, afraid a moment of silence would kill the mood. But the truth is the opposite. The right silence is the most magnetic part of a conversation. It creates space for the other person to open up. To understand this, think back to a conversation where you truly felt connected. Do you remember the number of words? Or do you remember the feeling of being understood, being listened to, being seen? Most deep conversations come from short, simple sentences, but spoken from the right energy. You might even recall an old friend, a coworker, or a family member, someone you always felt comfortable around. And if you look closely, you'll notice they did not talk too much. But every sentence they spoke carried their presence, and the silence between their sentences was also full of presence. The subtlety in speech does not lie in its length. It lies in its rhythm. It is not in the number of words you release, but in the way you allow the spaces between them to speak for you. It is not how much you say, but where you pause, and that very pause reveals the steadiness within you. It is not how well you articulate, but whether you allow others to feel that you are truly listening, that you are present here, in this moment, with them. A woman who is magnetic in conversation does not try to make others think she is interesting. She makes them feel that they are interesting when they talk to her. That is the real art. When her attention is not directed toward, how do I look, but toward, what are you feeling? When someone leaves a conversation with the sense that, I was just deeply heard, they will remember you for a very long time, even if you only said a few sentences. Because that kind of listening touches the deepest human need, the need to be understood. There is a very simple yet powerful practice. Before each response, you pause for 2 seconds, not to appear profound, but to allow your body and mind to walk together. This pause is a gentle reminder. You do not have to rush. It is the moment you consider whether what you are about to say truly needs to be said. Those 2 seconds also give the other person the sense that they are being given space, that they are being heard, that they have a place in the conversation. They feel you are not merely reacting, you are choosing. You can try this in your next conversation. When someone asks you something, do not answer immediately. Take a soft breath, pause for a moment, And let your response come from clarity. Just 2 seconds, but the effect is entirely different. You become calmer, brighter, deeper, and the conversation develops its own rhythm. A slow, warm, deeply present rhythm. The art of conversation is a form of energy. You do not need to speak much to create a connection. You need to be present. When you are truly in every sentence you offer, you become the woman people want to talk to for longer. Not because you are perfect or more intelligent, but because you are the one who makes them feel at ease. This feeling is rare in the modern world, where everyone wants to be heard, yet so few know how to listen. In a world where everyone wants to speak, the one who knows how to listen is the one who stands out. And when you speak less but with precision, speak slowly but clearly, speak modestly but sincerely, you become a small candle in someone's mind. Not dazzling, but warm and lasting enough for them to remember you when they think of the conversations that made them feel lighter. Have you ever noticed that the people you remember most often speak very little? Not because they are distant in an aloof way, but because they make room for you in the conversation. That spaciousness, their lack of urgency to take up space, is what makes others want to return, to keep sharing, to keep opening up, to keep coming back to you as a quiet, safe corner in their lives. Habit 6. Independence, the strongest natural force of attraction. There are paths meant to be walked alone, not because no one is willing to walk with you, but because that stretch of road is where you remember who you are. Imagine a woman walking down a quiet street unhurried, unafraid, taking firm, steady steps. There is no one beside her, yet nothing about that image feels lonely. What you see is clarity. You see a kind of freedom everyone secretly longs for. In Jungian psychology, the self is the center of wholeness. When the self is strong, when a woman has reconciled with herself, she no longer needs anyone to fill a void. She does not search for rescue. She does not use love as a substitute for unfinished parts of her life. And it is precisely that fullness that makes others want to move closer, want to stay, want to connect with her without her having to hold on. The mountain is the symbol of the self. It stands alone, without ever being lonely. It is solid, deep, still, and naturally becomes a resting point for the entire sky. A woman is the same. When she is steady within her own life, she becomes a natural force of attraction without having to chase anyone. A woman with her own life, her own goals, her own interests, her own world, is always more captivating than someone who orbits entirely around a relationship. Not because she experiences more, but because she lives more. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If one is not full within themselves, the connection becomes clinging. But when each person carries their own self, meeting becomes a reaction, a resonance, a mutual lifting." There is a truth many women only see after years of loving the wrong person, or loving from fear. You are not lacking men. You are lacking a life that makes you feel alive. When your life is too empty, you place a man inside it to fill the space. When your life is too dull, you use love to add flavor. When your life leans entirely on someone else, you lose yourself in the process. An independent woman is not a woman who isolates. She does not hate men. She does not need to prove she is stronger than everyone else. Her independence is wholeness. An independent woman does not need anyone to complete her, and that very wholeness is what makes her irresistibly magnetic. It is not a tactic, it is fullness. And fullness always has a powerful pull. But independence does not mean loneliness. It is not the mindset of, "I don't need anyone." An independent woman can absolutely want a companion, someone who helps her amplify her potential, but she does not see that person as her source of life. She is a singular being, unlike anyone else. She is herself. A partner is a beautiful addition, not a condition for her existence. I have seen many women live fully in their own lives, busy with hobbies, passions. Friends and men seem to pursue them without the women even knowing why. We are drawn to those who do not need us but choose to welcome us. That is the difference between dependence and attraction. A woman who chooses love, not needs love, is always magnetic. A friend once shared her perspective with me. If a man says, "You are my peace," then he has already won, because he sees in that woman her maturity, her confidence, and the fullness she carries. A simple sentence, yet it reflects a profound truth. Peace is not something a woman creates through gentleness or compliance. True peace radiates from inner strength, from the quiet power that only those who have stumbled, grown, and faced their own fears can possess. An independent woman is not peaceful because she is soft. She is peaceful because she knows who she is. Her independence does not come from grand declarations, but from the smallest choices. She knows what she likes and what she does not. She knows what makes her feel alive and what drains her. She knows the kind of life she wants to live clearly, steadily, without trembling, without reshaping herself to fit what others expect. She does not abandon her dreams to keep someone. She does not give up on herself to fix another person. She does not lose her identity for the sake of companionship. And it is precisely this quiet steadfastness that makes people respect her. When she loves from fullness, without clinging, without proving. When she lets go from clarity, without resentment, without self-blame, simply returning to the truth of who she is. You can see this in women who do not treat a relationship as the center of their existence. They work wholeheartedly, they play wholeheartedly, they live wholeheartedly. They can sit in a cafe alone without feeling small, because their joy does not rely on having someone beside them. They take spontaneous trips, indulge in quiet afternoons, nurture their own interests, all without needing permission or approval from anyone. They build their lives with their own two hands, step by step. And that aliveness, that freedom, is what truly attracts. It is the kind of attraction that is not loud but enduring, the kind that makes others want to come closer, yet are afraid to harm it. One of the most profound, awakening moments of independence is when you realize you once lost yourself so deeply that you no longer recognized who you were. You gave up your hobbies, your dreams, your friends, your routines, your joys, all in an effort to keep someone. You shrank yourself to appear just right, until one day, you look in the mirror and see a face so faint, so unfamiliar, that even you are startled. Independence begins the moment you choose to return. Return to what once made you feel alive. Return to the parts of yourself you abandoned while loving the wrong person. Return to the simple, grounded truth. This is my life. Try writing down 3 things you would do if you did not have to adjust yourself for anyone. 3 things you once put aside because of a relationship. 3 things that bring you back to yourself. When you finish writing, you will see what the self has always been trying to remind you. This life belongs to you, not to anyone else. Your true self never disappeared, it has only been waiting for you to open the door. Independence also shows itself in how you choose who gets to walk beside you. You do not need a man to fill a space. You choose someone who makes your life richer, not heavier. Someone who expands you beyond your previous self, not someone who requires you to shrink to fit into his world. Someone who sees your worth even when you are fully immersed in your own goals, and who never asks you to choose between love and your dreams. An independent woman does not build a relationship from fear. She builds it from fullness. She does not say, "I need you to survive." She says, "I choose you to walk with me." And that choice, offered from wholeness, is the most alluring thing of all. Independence is not a declaration. It is an energy, a way of being, a silent confidence that makes others feel she has a life of her own. That is why men want to understand her, respect her, and hope to become part of her world. Have you ever lost yourself in a relationship to the point of not recognizing who you were? If you have, you do not need to blame yourself. Everyone has done this before they knew where their self truly was. What matters is where you begin again, and whether you dare to rebuild a life that belongs to you. Because ultimately, an independent woman does not need to chase anyone. People will come to her not because she needs them, but because she is full enough to love them from the most beautiful place. Returning to the fullest version of yourself, you have just walked through 6 doors. each one leading you back to a part of yourself that perhaps you had not truly recognized until now. Each habit is not a skill to practice, but a psychological layer once forgotten, once buried under pressure, fear, or expectations you carried for many years. And now, when you look back at the entire journey, you can clearly see that everything that makes a mature woman deeply magnetic begins on the inside, not from anything she tries to display outwardly. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. This quote from Jung is not simply a reminder. It is the conclusion to the journey you have just completed. Your vision of yourself always becomes clearer when you are willing to look at the parts you once abandoned. Confidence, non-attachment, personal style, feminine energy, the art of conversation, and independence. Each of them is a window that leads you back to your center. When you touch these layers, you do not become more attractive in the conventional sense. You simply remove the coverings that have dimmed your inner light. Magnetism does not come from changing yourself to please the world. It comes from returning to your true frequency. When the war inside ends, when you no longer have to pretend to be strong or strive to be perfect, your energy becomes transparent. And it is that very transparency that makes others want to look deeper into you. Take a moment to feel what has awakened within you throughout these 6 parts. Maybe it is the image of you standing taller in the first habit, or the sensation of releasing an invisible cord in the second. Maybe it is the moment you embraced your own style instead of forcing yourself into something that never belonged to you. Or perhaps it is the softness you felt when you realized you no longer have to be strong all the time. Maybe it was the clarity you found in the art of conversation, or the fullness you felt when you saw the value of your own life. None of these signs stands alone. They connect like pieces of a psychological map. When you understand one piece, the others begin to illuminate. When you heal one part, the other parts begin to shift. And when you return to your center, attraction is no longer something you chase. It becomes a state you naturally emit. If this journey has touched you in any way, I want to invite you to stay. There is still so much more within feminine psychology that Jung left behind: deeper layers, images, unconscious patterns, hidden mechanisms waiting for you to explore. This journey is not meant to transform you into someone else. It is the journey of returning to the version of you that has always been there, quietly waiting to be seen and heard. If you want to continue walking this path, feel free to subscribe so you will not miss the next parts of this exploration of the inner world and feminine identity. And before you leave, I want to hear from you. Among the 6 habits, which one feels the most natural to you? And which one do you feel called to cultivate more deeply right now? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your reflection is not only your own voice, it may be the very thing that helps someone else see themselves more clearly. Thank you for completing this journey, and may you return to the fullest, most complete, and most luminous version of yourself.